Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is Before the Box Score, your post-game edition. Missouri, your number 6 Missouri Tigers take down number 24 Boston College 27-21. They did it. Missouri goes up against their first P4 team. They go up against their first quarterback with FBS offers. They go up against their first ranked team, all at home, and it went about to be expected. Nathan Hurst, how you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling a brighter shade of pink than I was before I went to the game today. The sun was intense, to say the least. Yeah. But, it got away with the victory. That's really all that you wanted to see. I mean, there were several other things you wanted to see, and we saw some of them, and we didn't see some of the others. But all things together, I think this is the second best possible scenario that could have come out of today.
First being just a
just absolute beat down 45-7 or something. And as we talked about on Wednesday, that really wasn't probably going to be in the cards. I mean, this is a pretty good Boston College team. They're not a great Boston College team, but they are a competent Boston College team, and it's very difficult to blow out those types of teams. So second best scenario of those is come in, show you are clearly the better team, but also show that you have a lot of things that you can improve upon, and then come out with a still, I wouldn't call it a comfortable win, but there were points where it could have ended up a lot more comfortable than it was.
Sure.
But there's a lot to improve on. Always great to win and learn lessons when you're winning games. And there were a lot of lessons to be learned, and there still are a lot of lessons for this team to learn. Yeah. But they beat a good team. Especially in the third quarter, really showed like they were by far the superior team on the field. There's just a play here or there that if it turns out better for Mizzou, then it's a much different final score in the positive direction. There were a few instances that could have led to Mizzou losing that game, which is kind of what we talked about.
Well, I mean, you could say that. You could also say, and this is what I would prescribe to, especially in the first quarter, a lot of Boston College's opportunities were extended by, mistakes made on Missouri's end, or kind of what we just comfortably call fluky bullshit. And
exactly.
To have a 11-point lead, with all of that, and then have it completely erased in the last 9 minutes of the half, kind of led me to believe like, nah, I'm really not super concerned. And I know when it said 14-3 and the social media hags come out and start chirping and saying this is all falling apart, which I saw to Mizzou fans' credit, I saw less of this time, but you always have that come out anytime you go down for a loss. To be down 11 at home to Boston College, it started coming out. And I really was not concerned, even at 14-3. And I know this might sound revisionist, but I really wasn't. And it was because the way that Boston College got those points. It was the way that Mizzou was not scoring. One possession in the first quarter? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, we knew that Boston College wanted to slow this game down, shrink the game, and try to beat them with just a few possessions. And Eli Drinkwitz likes that type of game too. So no one was uncomfortable. This is the first time they got stressed. This is the first time they had stressful snaps. This is the first time where there's actually an impetus to do something. And I really was not concerned, especially once they started moving the ball in the second quarter. I will say, though, those mistakes still happen. The defense got the first penalties of the year called on them. First 2 on key third downs that helped keep Boston College drives alive. You had the comical stretch of penalties in the third quarter, I think the second drive, where Missouri ended up with a 2nd and 59. You had the Tigers defense falling asleep on a kind of a holy roller fumble drill. You had them kind of really let off the gas in that last drive in the fourth quarter where they just kind of let Boston College zip right down the field. It was not perfect, to your point. So there is still things to coach. But at no point was I super stressed, and it was really just because Boston College wasn't out physically and out tacticking, wasn't doing anything. They had some key opportunities go their way. They had some fluky BS, and then we still went into the half up 3. So I, frankly, was just never concerned.
Yeah, if you look at kind of it boils down to 3 different plays. If the Mizzou defense even specifically makes those 3 plays that I think we hope that further down the field, or don't make the plays, depending on how you look at it, that comes down to that the face mask penalty that extended the first drive. They were off the field on third down.
Yep.
That led to a touchdown.
Yep.
They had to stop. I think it was 3rd and or it would have been 4th and 8 or so,
Yeah.
and they were going to punt. They were not going to go for it on that. You got the outrageous fumble Ruski drill where both safeties just completely, their souls left their bodies for some reason. You got to hope that that's never going to happen again. I mean, it'd be Boston College could not repeat that if they tried 20 different times. It just was the perfect storm of just crazy dumb luck. So that's number 2. Number 3, a mix up in coverage. Now this is something that you could see happen in the future, and that what needs to be one of those things that need to be tightened up when it's 4 minutes left in the game and they need to score 2 touchdowns. The last thing you could possibly do is just not cover a guy 30 yards downfield, and somehow that happened. So those 3 plays, you take away those 3 plays, there is a legitimate chance this team gives up 3 points, 7 points all game.
Yep.
Now, Boston College is good enough. They would have found a way to put together some points. We're going to I don't think there's a world where they shut them out. But the defense played so outstandingly well, other than those plays, a few breakdowns in the secondary. It makes me feel a heck of a lot better about not only the team on the field. Corey Batoon, the game plan that he put together, I think was perfect for this Boston College team. We can talk about that in a little bit, or we can get into it now. But the defense came to play. 3 weird fluky plays. Well, 2.5 fluky plays. The third one wasn't really a fluky. It was just a one that you can correct. And it's a blowout at that point. Yeah, if those go the right way.
Yeah, and heading into this game, your first big boy game, the second official start of the season against a team with the pulse. My question was, how does the defense look? And my big takeaway was, I think this defense is legit. I do not think it's elite, and that's why I have not said it's elite for the first 2 weeks, because frankly, we had not seen that secondary tested. They had gone up against some dog meat quarterbacks for 2 straight weeks. And again, that's mean. I'm sorry. Jacob Johansson and CJ Ogbonna, you didn't have any Power 4 offers, right? Your FCS quarterbacks, both of them were. Doesn't mean you're not talented. It just doesn't mean you can't do what an FBS quarterback does. This was the first time you saw that. Thomas Castellanos was the highest rated 3-star quarterback in his class. He can move, he can throw, and you could see what happens. He ended up 16 of 28 for 249 yards, 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I wanted to see what the secondary can do, and I thought they were competent. They got tested a lot. I think Castellanos and Bill O'Brien, the head coach, came in going, all right, you know what? We want to see what's going to happen when we throw on these guys, because they had not been tested for 2 straight weeks. And for the most part, Mizzou did well, but there were some slip ups. There was some coverage screw ups, some bad angles, some penalties. So this is what I wanted to see. I wanted to see that secondary in action. So it wasn't perfect, but good. Now we know what that looks like. To your point, the defensive line, masterful. They threw everything at that offensive line. There'd be, one series where they would, I counted full on pass rush, followed up by just a contain, just like hang there and contain, followed up by a blitz. And it was never the same thing twice. From down to down, from possession to possession, it did not matter. Corey Batoon was going to give them many different things to test. And sometimes Tommy passed him, sometimes he didn't, but it was enough to throw everybody off and not keep him comfortable. And oh, by the way, 26 rushes, 49 yards. Like, defensive line was MVP for me on the defense. Linebackers weren't all that bad either. I thought Khalil Jacobs had a great game, but Corey Batoon's defense, we wanted to see what he can do when he's stressed too. And we know what Blake Baker did. When he saw a problem, he blitzed it. Corey Batoon, when he sees a problem, he got some variables. He wants to throw a couple things at it. And I think that makes a huge difference. Ask LSU today, or ask Missouri against LSU last year. You can't always just blitz. And I like the subtlety that Corey Batoon has, because at least for now, it seems to be working.
And to be honest, to your point about blitzing, I counted 2 blitzes all day. They switched it up. Now, I was watching from three rows from the top deck, so I could have easily missed a few there. But the 2 that I really noticed, the rest were Khalil Jacobs coming out. One was a sack, and then the other one led to the second interception, the Drayden Norwood interception, where he was kind of rolled out and threw it up, and Norwood got it. So they were both very effective in that. what really stuck out to me was, and a lot of this probably can go beyond Batoon to the defensive line coaches as well. The technique that the defensive line used, it was clear that they were not going to put their nose down and rush as hard as upfield as they possibly could get all game long, because Castellanos is so dangerous. If you flush him out, he's going to beat your edge to the corner, and he's going to run for a lot of yards. So they kept him contained. They forced him to throw from the pocket, and that is not his game. And yes, he finished with 250 yards. 70 of those were on the last drive, and 130 of those were on the two busted plays that we talked about already. Yeah. So you take away those two, but take away the weird fumble play and that last 40-yard pass, and you're looking at 150 yards. So that game plan worked to a T. They stayed at home. They did send him a pressure a couple different times from a couple different spots. I mean, the sack was Jacobs right up the middle, and I think he came from more of the outside the other time. And there may have been a couple others in there that I missed. I haven't rewatched the game yet. We'll do that before we talk again on Wednesday. But the defensive line played great, kept them where they were. 1.9 yards per carry rushing the ball is outstanding. This team came in averaging 285 yards a game on the ground. Now, one of those against Duquesne, one of those against what appears to be just an absolute garbage Florida State team, who's now 0-3, but still 285 yards a game against anybody is good. And they gave up 49.
Yeah.
So that's just exactly what you could have drawn up, what you had wanted to draw up in terms of a stat line for the opposing offense, and it worked perfectly.
They're legit and they can improve, and I think that's great. That's exactly where you want to be. 3 games into the season, almost done with your non-con, and you're starting conference play next week. Now, the other thing for me, we've been talking about, we want to see the deep ball. We want to see the deep pass. You want to see Brady Cook connect with Speedy Johnson, Luther Burden, somebody deep. And once again, you did not see it. Did not happen. I think maybe you had one pass that went for around 20 yards in the air, but you just didn't see it happen. The other thing I learned was that you don't need it. You don't need those deep balls, because from 10 to 15, he's just as accurate as the short dump offs or the quick crossing routes. Now, I will point out that it seems like Brady Cook is allergic to throwing across the middle. It either seems to be his first read and he'll do it, or he won't do it at all. But for now, it's not needed. He can throw those little outs to Nate Noel. He can hit Mookie Cooper on those little box routes to the boundary. And of course, Theo Weiss is just, he's out there. He's tall. You can get it to him too. And the big thing for today was the yards after catch, the yak. Luther Burden's touchdown, Theo Weiss, Mookie Cooper, all of them took a pass somewhere between 2 and 10 yards down the field and got extra out of it. And that's how you can generate explosive plays too. So the deep ball is not there. They don't need it yet. It is very much an efficiency Eli Drinkwitz, yak-based pass attack, which he was known for at NC State. It's working now. I don't know if it's going to work forever, but how do you feel about the lack of deep passing, or how do you feel about the current passing setup?
Yeah, I mean, there's really weren't a ton of opportunities, just like last week, maybe a couple more. He had one to Weiss that should have been called a pass interference, because Weiss had his arm pulled behind his back by the defender, and still he got his free arm on it. And if he had 2 full arms, I'm very confident he would have caught that. The other one, he did overthrow. So the first one was on the money. Second one was overthrow. That 1 for 2. That's fine. Didn't have a lot of other opportunities there. This was a game where the talent in the wide receiver room really shined, and they took advantage of it. And that doesn't. You could have a really good wide receiver room and not be throwing it deep over and over and over again. Instead, they took those 8-yard outs, and the ability of the receiver, the good route running ability of the receivers, the Kirby Moore his ability to scheme them up. A lot of those third down conversions, especially late in the game, were some outstanding play calls where he was having guys cross in the formation and really getting Boston College not sure where the ball was going. Was it going to be a run? Was it going to be a pass? So I'm going to give him Kirby Moore a lot of credit on that. But when you've got guys like Burden, Weiss, and Mookie that are outstanding route runners, get to where they need to be 8 yards down the field, it's just money. And none of those conversions were really even close to being defended well. And I think there's a lot that goes into that. The good route running, the fear that they are going to go over the top. So they have been playing very soft, and I think we're going to continue until we face a team that has a elite secondary. Now there are a few in there. We'll get probably by the time we get to Texas A&M, they're going to be playing a lot better, a lot closer, tighter coverage on the receivers, and they're going to have to reevaluate how they do it. But for these teams that don't have the matchups to match up, they're gonna take this all day long. I think Vanderbilt's going to be the exact same way next week.
Yeah. While we're talking about the receivers, Luther Burden, who to his credit came out, took questions, and owned his outbursts, but he did draw some killer penalties for stupid stuff. From the moment you start playing football and interacting with a referee, you're always taught it's the one who retaliates who gets caught. And Luther was the one who retaliated twice. I will say, throwing the mouthpieces was a problem all game. I don't know if it's a BC thing or if it's just something I started picking up with Mizzou, but you would see these little neon green things flying through the air post play. I'm like, well, what the hell is that? And you'd rewind, is a mouthpiece. So this was a thing that was happening kind of all through the game. It just so happened that Luther had his yanked, which is bright yellow, and then he grabbed one and with some gusto threw it into the sideline. And of course the referee saw it, which, okay, don't do that. Even if it's been happening all game, don't do that. The one that really shocked me was he took a pass or handoff, something. He had the ball, ran through the sideline, pushed out of bounds, maybe said some words, maybe didn't, but he threw the ball into a player's head when the referee was standing right there asking for the ball. And again, to his credit, he came out and he said, I understand what I did wrong. I do not want to put my team in that position again. And Eli Drinkwitz chewed him out on camera and everything. So like everybody said what they needed to say. Everybody did what they were supposed to do, except for Luther Burden, who drew the fouls in the first place. He is known to get pissy when games are tough. Go back to Wake Forest in 21. It's a competitor thing. I understand it, but Luther, from us to you, just keep it cool, man. Keep it cool.
Right. Yeah. I don't have much else to say about it. He can't be done. That's the first time that I can remember that he's actually gotten penalties drawn for him. Now he's had some stuff on the sidelines, after games, or at least earlier in his career when he was younger. Maybe delete social media for a week, or tweet something out or whatever. Yeah. That's what any 18-year-old is going to do. So it's an emotional game, and he's clearly an emotional player. But if this is the last time that it happens, I think I expect it to be the last time we'll see something on the field. I don't think we'll get anything like that.
Also, six catches, 117 yards.
Yeah, he did plenty on the field to make up for it, both before and after. He got really lucky though, because they really should have been ejected from that game. That second penalty where he threw the ball should have been his second unsportsmanlike, and which would have got him tossed for whatever reason. I guess the refs really didn't want to riot on their hands, because the fans were getting a little angry after about 6 straight penalties being called. So they decided to give him a roughing, or what's the other 15-yard penalty?
Unnecessary
roughness, which is it's a way to do it. I've never seen that play called that way, but it turned out well, because Luther got a big third down conversion later in the game, and he would not have been on the field to do that if they had called it the way they probably should have.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't know. Celebrity's got its benefits sometimes. So the receivers were good. Deep passing isn't there yet. I'm not super concerned at this point. I mean, we are a quarter of the way through the year. I want to go ahead and say, even through these 3 games, Nate Noel, Marcus Carroll, MVPs. If not MVPs, the most important additions to this team. Because even when things are, rough, which as rough as you can get against Buffalo and Murray State, they can just turn to them and they will get yards. Nate Noel's, 8 yards a carry at this point. He can contribute in the passing game. Marcus Carroll is a living, breathing, walking first down conversion. The whole point of bringing them in was to replace Cody Schrader, to make sure that the running game did not fall off. Because when things get tough, Eli Drinkwitz and Kirby Moore need the running game to go. And there were stretches where the passing game was just not doing enough. a little bit against Buffalo, definitely against Boston College. And they turned to Noel and Carroll and they got it done. Now, wide zone, the outside zone was taken completely away in the second half. I don't know what Boston College was doing, but they stopped that. But they were still giving it to Noel and Carroll to at least get 3 yards, 2-3 yards, and shut the game out. So they are great. I can't wait to see what they do against the SEC. But at least 3 games in, like, there doesn't seem to be a drop off in running production. What do you think?
No, definitely not. And Noel's been great even between the tackles. He had late in the game after, as you mentioned, they had completely shut down the outside stretch play, which is Eli Drinkwitz's. If he could only run one play in his whole life over and over again, it would be that play. It worked great in the first half. They figured something out. Don't know what they figured out, but I think a lot of SEC teams are going to be watching that film to see what they were doing to stop it. I was a little frustrated because they kept calling it despite it not working about 5 times in a row. But they on that last first down conversion, first and 10, Noel right up the middle, 5 yards, 6 yards, which really set him up to convert it down the road. And he had several of those right up the middle. I'm going to give the offensive line a lot of credit too. The holes weren't huge, but they were there. And Noel and Carroll both were able to find them really well. So they've kind of been the perfect replacement. It took 2 guys to replace one, but together I think it's going to work out great.
Yeah, and this is the first time I saw our offensive line really struggle. Blitz pickup was rough in the first quarter.
The pass protection was not great. Now Boston College does, and that's something we didn't really talk about, but I think they do have a pretty decent pass rush. Absolutely. They only got home once. They got 1 sack, but there were several plays where Cook had to rush. He's not great. His accuracy is actually pretty poor when he is under pressure. And we saw that a few different times. There's a couple different third downs that we did not convert where there was an open receiver, but he was pressured, had to get the ball out, wasn't really where we wanted it to be.
Yeah. And it was everybody. Marcus Bryant had it happen to him. He read the wrong guy. Cameron Johnson let a guy completely through. Caden Green knocked down Brady Cook that final drive.
The biggest loss, the best tackle of anyone on Boston College.
I mean, they were out of sorts for a good chunk of the game, which again, you want to see and figure this stuff out now, especially in a win. So you don't like to see it, but if you have to see it, you want to see it now. You want to see it early in the season, especially in your non-con. Things to work on. It's still the same offensive line that we've seen the first 2 games. We know what they can be. We've also seen kind of the bottom of what they can be, and hopefully it doesn't go below that. So things to work on, things to improve. Outside of that, I would say, when you're going through your questions, I'm like, what is this team going to be? The last thing on my list was always kicker. Eli Drinkwitz, just by design, he runs these games where they're low possession. Not a lot of plays get run. So there's a lot of 1 possession, close game situations. And when you have that, you need a great quarterback and you need a great kicker that you can rely on. And the question was, Harrison Mevis is gone. Who is going to replace him? And Blake Craig had himself a 3-for-3 day. We saw it against Murray State, and he did it again, except this time we absolutely needed him to nail it. And he did. At the end of the day, he had he had a 38-yarder and then a 55-yarder and then a 31-yarder later on in the game. Redshirt freshman Nathan Hurst, the thinner kicker, 4 years. What do you think?
Craig the leg, I think, is what we need to go with today. The 55-yarder live in person would have been good from 65, and I'm not exaggerating that. That 55 yards is a long kick, and it had more than enough leg. If there wasn't a net in front of the Rock M, it might have gotten onto the grass of the hill, which tells you how much leg that he actually had behind that thing. So he's got plenty of leg. We're nailing down the accuracy today. He was perfectly accurate, and now the 55-yarder was a little lower on the left, but hey, it counts the same whether it's right down the middle or sneaks in the left. It's nice to have a guy that you can count on for 4 years. That was the same. We figured that early in 2020 when Mevis was beating Arkansas with massive kicks, and that turned out great too. So it's really nice to project forward 4 years. Though in today's in today's college football, you really never know. But we'd
Yeah,
like to think.
true.
We'd like to think, and for 4 years, we'll have another solid kicker, make that 8 years in a row.
There you go.
And he kicked every kickoff out the back of the end zone. That's the one thing that Mevis did not do last year. In the previous years, we had our own kickoff specialists before that. But that's the one thing I would give Craig even more of a plus over Mevis than that is I think he's had one kickoff returned all year. Now he did have the one kick out of bounds. I think it was against Murray State, but I think he's only had one kickoff returned in 3 full games.
I think you're right. He got one really close to going out of bounds this game. It snuck right over the end zone there. I am less concerned about that, but it's also very good. It's very nice to not have to worry about lightning in a bottle from a kick returner. So, yeah, I'm good with that. So I mean, really, what this comes down to, you're looking at Missouri's schedule and how it's going to shake out. We always said coming in first 4 games, you better win or else something's gone wrong. And obviously, the first 2 weeks revealed Boston College can be ranked. Vanderbilt might be feisty, a little bit more feistier than we think. Pending whatever happens today, we'll get a checkup on that in just a couple minutes. But like the beginning of the schedule looked tougher than it should, but we also still think Missouri's 6th best team in the nation, so they should win these games. They got their first test. They passed their first test. I know 27-21 does not elicit, ripping off your shirt and running down, storming the field, but like, just win, man. Just win your ranked matchups. I know I've coined the phrase, win your clunkers. I don't think this is a clunker. I think this was a surprisingly good team, surprisingly competent team earlier than we anticipated, with a Mizzou team that still has a lot of newness, a lot of fresh faces, new coordinator, and kind of often still trying to figure things out. And they still won comfortably to me. Obviously your mileage may vary, but I was not worried. I don't feel like anyone else was super worried. They won comfortably against a ranked team at home, and we're complaining about a couple things that they can improve on. If that is not passing your first test and being in a good position, I don't know what that would look like.
Right. No, this is exactly what we hope to be, where we hope to be after 3 games. Now, coming into the season, as you said, we didn't think Boston College was going to be as competent as they are. Credit to them for being this early in Bill O'Brien's tenure to be where they are now. So maybe we would have thought, we'll beat them by 17 points, which was what the spread was, at least to start. We won by 6. We won by 6.
Yeah.
Win is a win is a win, especially in a non-conference game, in a Power 4 non-conference game. So take it, count it up. We'll barely remember this game by the time November rolls around, and that's a good thing. We don't want this is a game we don't want to have to remember by the time November rolls around.
Yeah. Before we get to Vanderbilt, just a quick note. Happened late last night, but Matt Zollers, the blue chip quarterback from Pennsylvania, had his leg destroyed in his Friday night game. Now, I have not looked for any updates. I have not seen any updates from anybody. There is video of it. Don't go looking for it, you sickos. The foot's going the wrong way. Okay. That it's bad. That's a tough injury to come back from. I have not heard any updates, but obviously when it comes to those situations, especially for high school athletes, 16, 17, not maybe even 18, it sucks so hard to have a high school career derailed like that. Obviously you can come back from that. Every day is the best day for health technology that we've possibly had. It could happen. From my part, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but just from us as a Mizzou representative, Matt, get better. Mizzou will be here. Okay. You don't sweat it, get back, get everything healthy. It looked awful, and just, thoughts and well wishes to the Zollers family for him. And hopefully he bounces back well.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. Terrible for anyone to suffer that type of injury. Let alone someone with such a promising athletic career ahead of them. Thankfully, I expect that, modern medical science will help him out, and he'll be, as good as new here, in a year or two. But best wishes to him and to get better soon. I know he was planning on being here in the spring. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if this will change that or not. We'll see. That's the least important thing at this moment for him. So hope he just gets better soon.
Yeah. And then just quickly, I mean, we're recording this. It's 9:01 at night on Saturday the 14th, right after Mizzou beat Boston College. Vanderbilt is up next, and last I checked, they're losing 12-3 to Georgia State.
I have it on right now. They are losing 29-17 with
goodness.
5 minutes left. They just got the ball back on a punt. So they're down 2 scores with 5 minutes left. They were down about in the red zone and turned it over on down. So their offense is not lighting it up today. And their defense for that matter, because Georgia State's offense is not great. So maybe this is what they were having to look ahead. There's a look ahead game. They got the big game against number 6 Mizzou next week.
Yeah.
But they haven't been careful, and Georgia State is about to knock them off.
Whoops. Well, I don't want to play against a pissed off Diego Pavia. I'd really like for him to win, or at least come in comfortable. I don't want him to pee on our 50-yard line, but we will see. We'll see what happens. But at least for the Mizzou sphere, we will cross that bridge when we get there. Again, Missouri beats Boston College. Number 24, Boston College, 27-21. Late score made it closer than it should. The big plays obviously make it closer than it should. They still count. But there are ways that you can look at this. Obviously, if this was a loss, there's a lot of different ways you would talk about the things that we talked about today. But you won, and the best lessons to learn are those that you learned in a win. Nathan Hurst, parting shots before we get out of here.
Just glad to get this one behind us. We knew coming into it it was going to be tough. It could have been easier, but Mizzou and Eli Drinkwitz don't necessarily like to make things as easy as they can be. But that's okay. Well, maybe get better next week. I think there's a lot they could take from this game to be better next week.
Absolutely. And that's the show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter at Matt and A.G. Edwards. He's at Burst to Hurst. And, of course, you can follow the Rock Him flagship at Rock Him Nation and our podcasting outlet at Rock Him Radio. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.